taken advantage of that a little bit more when I was in high school. I didn't really even know pro throwing was a thing back then. I wish that I would have paid attention a little bit more to what the pros are doing. It is finally April, and I will be competing at the end of the month. We have finally the season opener. What's up, YouTube? Payton Otterdahl here, also known as P-Train Throws. I'm a two-time U.S. Olympian in the shot put. Coming at you today with a new video. My 5 things that I wish I knew when I was a high school thrower. Stay tuned. All right, the first thing I wish I knew when I was a high school thrower, weightlifting is very important. Now, when I was in high school, I did weightlift. I just didn't take it very seriously. I didn't work too hard in the weight room. I often neglected my Olympic lifts, my squatting. So I wasn't the strongest guy around. I pretty much only worked on having a bench press. So in hindsight, one thing I wish I would have done a little bit more in high school throughout all my sports was to take weightlifting a little bit more serious. I definitely slacked off in the weight room a little bit more than I should have, especially, once you get to that junior and senior year. Don't be afraid of putting on strength and working hard in the weight room. It's going to translate over to the throws pretty nicely. So that's one thing that anyone can do, anyone should do as a high schooler, and it's a great way to get some big time improvements in the throws. While you're in the weight room, it's important to prioritize too some plyos and more explosive movements. Just getting your max lifts up's obviously important, but also becoming a very explosive athlete is important. You should be very good at jumping, sprinting, bounding, all of that sort of stuff. You want to be an overall well-rounded athlete. Those make the best throwers. All right, the number 2 thing I wish I would have known when I was a high school thrower, that you can and should throw outside of the normal high school season. I made the big mistake when I was in high school is my track focus was only from, growing up in Minnesota, once the snow melted in April until end of June. Very short season, really only 2 months. That's all I focused on for throwing. I don't think I ever threw outside the season. I was a multiple sport athlete, so I was always doing a sport or activity. I just never took the time to throw. I was always so far behind, having taken off, 9 to 10 months from the end of track to when it started up again. I wished I would have, and I should have been throwing more regularly outside of that. It doesn't even have to be a lot of throwing. If you're able to get in one throwing session minimum once every 2 weeks, you're already going to be making great progress to getting towards your next season. If you're a thrower only, you don't really have an excuse. You should be able to be throwing way more frequently if this is something that you want to take seriously and you want to get better at. I definitely made that mistake of just hardly ever training for throws, even though, it was something I should have been taking into consideration way before that. No one was really getting after me to throw too much, so you have to kind of take your own initiative. If you are doing other sports too, again, just getting that throwing in, it doesn't even have to be full throws. If you live in a colder climate and it's winter, get some drilling in. Take, a good hour, just find an hour every other week to get drilling in, hit good positions, footwork, any of that, just something throwing related so that you're getting positive progress towards your throwing season. All right, number 3, take your drilling seriously. When I was in high school, I vividly remember showing up and pretty much just getting right into throws. Didn't do much drilling at all. And if I did, it was very little, not as much as I should be. Now, as a pro in a post-collegiate, or even when I was in college, you're doing at least 20 minutes of drilling before you even start throwing. Minimum. So you should be able to be getting that in even as a high schooler to make sure you're hitting better position, having solid technical form. It kind of gets you ready to throw before you even start. If you just jump into it, then, shoot, that's just, you're wasting some time here. You could be getting a lot better. There's ways to get technical reps in without taking full hard throws. Your central nervous system only gives you so many hard throws of practice. This is a great way to work technique without taking, high level intensity reps. Oftentimes, if you're throwing, we're so focused on how far it's going instead of what it looks like, especially at the high school level. So if you're taking the time to make sure it looks good before you start throwing, you'll be in better positions when you finally do start taking those full reps. Tip number 4, get a proper warm-up in. I see so many high schooler throwers these days just rolling up to practice, putting on their throwing shoes, and getting in. First off, that puts you at such a much higher risk of getting injured. You're not going to be in very good throwing readiness because your muscles aren't warmed up. You're cold. You're not going to be as explosive quick. You're not going to be able to be as receptive to getting good technique. It's just simple. You need a solid warm-up to get your body ready to be at its best. And you should be able to find a routine that kind of works for you. Not everyone's warm-up is going to look the same. And not everyone's warm-up is going to stay the same. You might have certain injuries or things that are bothering you. You need to warm them up before you throw. So 1, it doesn't get worse, but 2, it can kind of mitigate some of those symptoms that you're feeling in your throw. I think when I was in high school, I did just that. I rolled up to practice, just put on my throwing shoes and started throwing. I was fortunate that I don't remember getting too many injuries, or I wasn't too banged up. But I missed a lot of potential by not getting a proper warm-up and being ready to throw, getting your body ready. There's a million different ways that you can warm up, experiment with things, and find out what works for you. And then tweak it. Don't be afraid to add things. You want to be sweating before you start throwing, and you want to have your muscles be warmed up. So find a good warm-up and stick to it. Tip number 5. There are a lot of resources out there for you as a thrower beyond your coach. Now, that's not saying don't listen to your coach. Obviously, your coach is going to be the best tool that you have as a thrower. But there's a lot of places where you can find some really great information out there, whether that's online. YouTube is a great place to find good throwing tips. Shoot, there's so many throwers on Instagram now that you can check out their pages and learn just a whole lot just by looking at them. And even better yet, you can reach out directly to these throwers, pro throwers, college throwers, whatever. Coaches, you can reach out to them and ask them questions. I know that I check my DMs very often for any sort of questions that any of you might have, and I try my best to get back to you. When I was in high school, Instagram didn't even have video yet. It was pretty new. I was back on Instagram, and you could only upload photos back then, so it was not quite too thrower friendly back in those days, but YouTube was still a thing, and there's videos that you could buy online too. So I wish that I would have taken advantage of that a little bit more when I was in high school. I didn't really even know pro throwing was a thing back then, so I wish that I would have paid attention a little bit more to what the pros are doing and kind of see what their technique is supposed to look like instead of just doing whatever the heck I was doing back then. On top of that, especially in the off season, there are tons of camps that you can do. In pretty much every given state, you're going to be able to find a throwing camp. And if you have to travel a couple states over even, you should be able to find either professional throwers that are willing to do some private lessons with you, or at least give you some tips or video reviews, anything like that. You take advantage of those. They're great tools to be able to get some different insight other than just what your coach might have to say. It can be very helpful. All right, those are the 5 things that I wish I knew when I was a high school thrower. Thank you for watching the video. We try to put out great videos like this as frequently as we can. Let us know in the comments what you want to see otherwise. It is finally April, and I will be competing at the end of the month. We have finally the season opener. It's going to be at the Drake Relays in Des Moines, Iowa. So if you are in the Midwest, might be worth your while to come driving over to Des Moines, because you're going to get to see 2 high-level throwing comps. One that's the Wednesday, I believe Wednesday the 23rd, and then Saturday the 26th. You're going to get to see 2 high-level pro shot put competitions. Ryan Crowther's going to be there, a bunch of other pros from the US and even some international athletes. So come on out, see us. I'll be walking around the stadium probably in the days leading up to it. So if you see me, don't hesitate to say hello. Love to take a picture, talk to you, give you some tips, answer your questions. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks.